Hey there everybody, and welcome to episode 38 of Wizard Weekly, where we bring you news and humor from around the spiral. The post-holiday lull has hit the spiral pretty hard, so there really isn't that much news, but if you shuffle on over to the Wizard 101 Central PvP section, you'll see something new and exciting. It's the Holiday Tournament Finals! Silver Rider, the only one 522, Carlos Legend, and Arc Warrior have fought their way through the rosters to compete in the finals, and the heat is on as they meet this week in the arena matches to see who takes the grand prize super bundle home. This tournament isn't going to last much longer, folks, so try to get in on the action while you still can. While everyone was in the arena, I snuck off to Atticus's wizard watchtower where he's worked hard to transform his home into a small city. You enter to see a gazebo overlooking a river that serves as a teleporter terminal to the rest of his worlds. There's also a roaring death arena where the city's combatants go head-to-head in a fight for glory, honor, and survival. He can also head to the Waterfall Shrine to further relax if it's been a really bad day, and there's a small park off to the side where his guests can sit and chatter. Inside his house is the throne from which he rules over the city and a nice wide-open chamber where his subjects can gather for audiences, meetings, or banquets. High in the wizard's tower, there's an astral shrine where philosophers and wizards come to study the stars. In the basement is a sweet little dragon who would normally be guarding the only gateway to Atticus's floating city, but it looks like it's nap time. High above the world is his floating city, which he supports with a magical energy plant that keeps everything aloft. Right next to the plant is the doctor's office, or if your malady is more spiritual in nature, there's a platform reserved for the local soothsayer. Back down his neat network of rugs is his typically busy marketplace. I guess everyone's still watching the PvP matches. Normally there's a butcher, tailor, flower shop, fruit market, pet shop, and there's even a small bazaar for the locals. The residents live in the many apartments, each one different from the others, and visitors can stay at the small hotel on the far side of the city. Young wizards living here usually attend classes at the built-in school, which teaches science, math, English, as well as all the magical schools. After classes, or after a long day in the market, the denizens of the floating city can relax at the soda stop for a nice cool drink, or just to exchange some chatter. What really impressed me about this place was Atticus's ability to think outside the box. Literally, he glitched way outside the skybox for his house, and he has made an area that is completely unique to his home, giving it a story and a life all of its own. Alright guys, time to kick off Letters from the Spiral with a question that a ton of people have been asking. Do you think that in Wizard 101 we will ever be able to change our face or hair? Since we're able to take names that wizards already have, the only thing our friends really have to identify us by is our appearance. And while I'd love to have a hair color that wasn't, green, it's for that reason that I really don't think we'll see a salon in the spiral. If I had a nickel for every Luke Skywalker I run into, I'd probably have $1, no lie, and at least 3 of them are on my friends list. I can differentiate between them because of their features, and removing that from the system with a hair or face change would just totally mess with other players. It's also a ton of time and effort invested by King's Isle on something that's kind of trivial. If you don't like your appearance, you generally don't level that tune past level 10 or so, and it's so easy to just make another, prettier character and play them until you're level 10 again. I'm pretty sure we will not see a feature that allows us to change our faces or hair in the future. Wicked Girl 1234 must have done some heavy holiday shopping or got one of those sweaters for the holidays, because she asks, do you think we'll ever get a receipt when we buy items from the crown shop? If you want to get technical, there's already sort of a receipt system in place, even though you and I don't really see it. KingsIsle sees it though, because they have to keep track of items we bought with virtual money, which we bought with real money. So they're not keeping track of your gold purchases, but they do at least make a note of your crowns purchases. It's not a detailed purchase chart. It probably looks more like user cool guy bought item 123 at 4:56 p.m. and that's it. If you have an inquiry about an item, KingsIsle is getting better and better at getting back to people who write in with legitimate questions, and if you said something like, I gifted the Guardian outfit to the wrong person on this day around this time, is there a chance I could get a refund? They'll probably still say no, but they would be able to find the transaction. Not having these receipts ourselves isn't really a bad thing either, because we don't really need one. The items we get are virtual, and they don't have cracks, holes, or any real flaws that would make them unusable. Sure, we may not like it after we purchase it, but that's why we have the preview window, so we can decide beforehand. And you can tour the houses in the crown shop beforehand to decide whether or not they're for you. There's really no cause for us to need receipts. It would also clutter up their servers, as each transaction would now need a code assigned to it that we would also get as a virtual receipt to keep to call up that purchase whenever we wanted to. More often than not, folks aren't even going to be writing down these codes anyway. They'll be, they've saved up their money for crowns, and they want their fancy-dancy new sort of awesome and win right now. Some people won't even look at the receipt codes, so for the most part, they'll kind of be redundant. The receipt system we have in place now is a pretty solid one. It shows KingsIsle that yes, we bought this item and we're not trying to pull the wool over their eyes when we write in asking for the item back because we accidentally sold it to a vendor again. While we're on the topic of bloopers, Thor Odinson was curious as to why are some words that aren't bad blocked from text chat. He gave some examples like Viking and Mjolnir, which is the name of Thor the Norse god's hammer, and the answer to that is pretty simple. They're used so infrequently that KingsIsle didn't think to add them to the words that were allowed to stay in Wizard 101. The list works pretty differently than you'd think, because instead of being like an open dictionary with certain words crossed out, it's more like a list of words that KingsIsle adds to as they come across words or phrases that people use a lot. I believe that there was actually a thread in the official Wizard 101 forums for a while, in Hailstrom's laboratory, where you could suggest words to add to the filter. I don't know where it's gone, but if you do have a word or two that's within reason, you could probably post over there asking to have them added to the game. Another totally different reason we're unable to post some words is because some of the lesser mature wizards out there decided to substitute these words in for swears, violent actions, or sexual actions. That's why we can't say Grapes of Wrath, and for a while there, Cracker was redded out, I believe, because it was being used as a derogatory term. These words are words that we're not going to get back because they've been deemed harmful, which is, a shame, because now instead of taking a bus to work, I have to take a giant car or a means of mass transportation. Our last question this week comes in from Hunter Ironsword, who asks, do you think KingsIsle will ever let more than 8 players fight at a time? Nope. It's not really as simple as editing the art to have one more wizard in there. they'd have to mess with the entire battle system. They'd have to make sure that the person got a turn, got their pips, loot, EXP, and they'd have to make sure that the pre-recorded camera motions will correctly snap to that fifth person. Additionally, they'd have to update our name tags at the bottom so they were smaller but still readable with all the information we're used to still clearly presented there. And the circle would be so crowded that they'd have to invent a way to clearly define red team from blue team. That's an awful lot of work for just one more space in a battle circle, and that's just half of it. Having a fifth wizard on either team would pretty much guarantee them a one-shot on round 4, regardless of what schools they came from. Even 5 myth wizards all casting unbuffed earthquakes at the same time would be able to wipe out the entire other team, or most of the other team most of the time. PvP would be ridiculous, and outside of the ring, it would be even worse, because unless you have a life wizard on speed dial, you're going to be a hurting unit because now, instead of facing down 4 opponents that may cast AoE spells, you're up against a 5th. And if you get enough people joining your battle circle, ouch man, ouch. While it would be fun to squeak one more friend in there sometimes, it's for the better if we're forced to stick with 8 combatants. That's all for this week's Wizard Weekly, friends. Just a quick note before I go. I will be closing down the Better Homes and Gardens thread for the month of February next Friday at 1:00 to midnight Eastern Standard Time, so get your houses in if you haven't already. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend, and remember, don't drive like me. Hey guys, it's Fonnie. I just wanted to talk to you guys about last week's Wizard Weekly. I had a lot of people write in asking if I was okay because I was kind of quiet and they wanted to make sure I wasn't sick or sad or anything, and I love you guys. I was actually just being quiet because I started a new job. Yay, a new job! And it has me working Friday afternoons, so I can't do the recordings for Wizard Weekly around 1 p.m. like I normally do, and people are still asleep in my house. Today was a different story. They actually went over to a friend's place so I could be as loud as I wanted to, but depending on my hours, it will probably be a few more quiet Wizard Weeklies in the future. Yeah, thank you guys all for your wonderful letters. And it was really, really sweet of you. It made me feel like all warm and fuzzy and stuff. And I hope to see you all next week. I hope you have a wonderful week. Enjoy the snow if you're just getting some for the first time. Enjoy the not snow if you're not getting any. And, yeah, happy weekend.